Thank you very much for joining us at VTV. You mentioned before that you are just opposed to a pure inflation-led policy which only cares about the inflation without taking care of the employment. However, do you think Vietnam is combining its fiscal policy and monetary policy in order to further support the growth of the economy?
The State Bank of Vietnam has worked to modernize their approach to monetary policy and foreign exchange management. And what we've seen is that exchange rate has become more flexible and practice has become more transparent. And my sense is that this new approach has served Vietnam well. It's been 2 years in which there have been huge shocks to the global economy, and having a more flexible exchange rate, I think, has helped Vietnam weather these shocks. It looks to me as though, although growth is slower this year than last year, the combination of growth and inflation is doing very well in Vietnam. Vietnam's fiscal policy is supportive but conservative in the sense that there's lots of fiscal space. Vietnam benefits from a low debt to GDP ratio and has the ability to use fiscal policy along with monetary policy to support the economy. But overall, Vietnam's economic performance has been really very positive.
How do you evaluate Vietnam's role in the global supply chain?
And the United States is pursuing an approach I call friendshoring, because we mean for it to be not protectionist, that we want to do more ourselves, but not only to rely on ourselves. We want a large network of trusted partners that our supply chains are diversified among. And when we think about those partners, Vietnam really is very important in our thinking. As a member of IPEF and part of the supply chain agreement there, we think also the G7's commitment to a $600 billion partnership for global infrastructure and investment. These are ways that we can support Vietnam in developing its ability to participate in this network of supply chains. And already we're seeing the private sector really leap at the opportunities. I think, as you know, Apple and other American companies are moving to Vietnam to build factories, to source components and goods in Vietnam. I would say we're also seeing Vietnamese investment in the United States, which is very welcome, but we see tremendous opportunities to deepen our economic relationships and bring Vietnam more deeply into our supply chains.
The US is one of the partners of Vietnam within the JETP. So how do you think that the US could help Vietnam to go further in the journey to achieve its target of reaching net zero by 2050?
So we were thrilled to see Vietnam commit at COP26 to net zero by 2050 and to agree to the methane pledge, and to see Vietnam have these ambitions is very good from the United States and the global perspective. We share on both sides, and the United States is taking important steps ourselves to address emissions, and our shared belief in the importance of protecting the environment is an important part of our partnership. We were excited to see a JETP agreement signed between the international partners, the UK, the EU, the United States, Vietnam, signed last December, and we're eager to see it move forward. I believe last week a lead agency, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, was assigned as the lead agency, and there is a pledge of a combination of public and private investments amounting to about $15.5 billion that stands ready to support Vietnam's investments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through a series of projects. So we're very excited about this partnership and believe it has great potential to support Vietnam's ambitions with respect to climate, and will be good for both of us and for the world.
This year marks the 10th anniversary of the Vietnam-US relation. How do you think we can further foster such relation between the two countries?
In the economics area, our partnership has been extremely strong. Back in 2013, trade between the United States and Vietnam amounted to only $30 billion, and last year it had reached about $140 billion. So that's a significant increase in trade. Investment has also increased dramatically. So our relationship, I think, has really prospered, and going forward, we see many opportunities to deepen our economic and other relationships.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us at VTV.
Thanks so much.